Hey guys, this is Orlando with Filmatic, and we also have
Stixx, Christian with Filmatic.
yeah. All right, so today we're actually getting together to talk about Batman, and if you haven't seen this yet, don't watch. This is gonna have spoilers and a bunch of other stuff. So the first thing we're gonna do is kind of just go through the trailer, and then we'll be able to talk about how our impressions and all those things. So let's go ahead and watch the trailer real quick.
This is the first trailer that came out, the one that was at the DC Fandom event, which was the first official scene that anybody saw.
Okay. How loud is it? Turn it down a little bit. Oh. Be able to match it. Okay, that's pretty.
From your secret friend.
Underneath the bridge,
Who?
top has sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped
Having a clue.
all become my pet.
Let's play a game. Just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
You're becoming quite a celebrity. Why is he writing to you?
If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?
The hell are you supposed to be?
Yeah, chop, chop.
Cousin too.
I'm vengeance. Whoa! This guy's crazy!
You're part of this too.
How am I part of it?
You'll see.
Okay, I don't remember watching this either. So you said you never watched the
I
trailer.
never watched the trailer.
Yeah, I never seen the trailer either. So
You didn't see that one?
uh-uh.
Yeah, that was the first one I remember seeing, and I watched it, and I was like, "Dang, again." That's the first thing I thought about because I was like, "Another Batman."
So yeah,
That's pretty
the reoccurring theme even during the trailer for me was how long is this gonna take?
Like watching it,
Yes.
yeah, it was slow.
Yeah.
That's slow. That's the in my head. It's just like, dang, this is slow.
Yeah.
You know so what's funny is that the movie's gorgeous because I think they complemented with light and they painted more with dark. That's what I saw in the whole thing.
yeah.
That's what it felt like more than anything. It's pretty, it doesn't matter. But I remember the last time we were in a theater and we were like, oh dang, it's not over yet, was when we saw Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, yeah.
The
How
How
first
long
one.
was that movie?
That movie's close to 3 hours.
Yeah, 3
But
hours.
the director's cut is close to 4 hours every film. I've been watching the director's cut recently over like a couple of days.
Oof, yeah.
Like
Hours, bro.
30-minute pieces. But
Yeah, because I was
Remember, y'all called me for it, bro.
Yeah.
Committing 3 hours of my life to something is crazy, bro.
That's what I was saying. I was like, oh.
I think that's a whole thing though, just in general now, that for you to go to a movie experience, like I told them, I said, if we go, I got to go watch it IMAX. Like I got to watch it on a big screen, and I got, I think the last movie last movie I saw was
Candyman.
Candyman. When we
Oh, yeah, that's
when
true. When we're on the
like
job.
the
we're on
Candyman.
yeah, shooting out over there in New Mexico. We're like, was that in New Mexico?
No,
That
it was in Dallas.
as
It's
well.
actually in Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, so just kind of crazy to think that we're, the last movie was that, and even then that was kind of shut down. This one was a little more open, but like I was like 3 hours. So honestly, I only fell asleep like maybe 3 or 4 times, but you wake up and there's still plenty of time. And there, like, honestly, I do think that this could have been a HBO Max miniseries that was
Yeah.
30 to 40 minutes per episode. And I think you would have gotten, they could have spent maybe another 2 or 3 seconds longer on each shot, because I'm sure that they had long shots, because
Yeah.
I mean it took them forever to cut on some of that stuff,
Yeah.
But what was your what was your impression of the movie, just Batman growing up, like, knowing that this is another Batman movie?
Knowing it's another Batman movie for me is hard because I compare everything to Dark Knight. That's my all-time favorite.
But you're saying you compare everything you watch.
Every Batman, every
Batman
hero
hero.
is
Okay.
Dark Knight. And
Yeah.
I'm not a hero guy. I'm a villain guy. I think that's
Nice.
why Dark Knight is my favorite, because it actually, like, when you think about it, you maybe see Batman fight for like 5 minutes throughout the whole movie,
Yeah, that's true.
But this one to me gave me more insight of Batman. But I'm like you, I think it should have been it's already 3 hours. Make it a series and make it longer.
Yeah.
I agree with you. You know what's crazy though? I think if The Dark Knight had never come out and this Batman had come out, it would be way more iconic.
Yeah, it looks good.
Way more iconic. Having said that, what is the opening shot of this Batman movie? The Batman.
Oh, the first
opening
time
shot
with
of
the Riddler, huh?
Yeah.
That was the opening shot?
No, but what was the exact opening shot? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
I remember it was a Riddler looking through the mirror at the
person.
The person.
Oh,
Yeah.
looking through the telescope,
Yeah.
right. Now, what was the opening shot of The Dark Knight?
Yeah, that's amazing, bro. That's it.
Do you remember
That
the
was
opening
it.
shot of The Dark
I
Knight?
don't remember it.
It's
You
just
don't?
it's
The
the shot of the
bank robber?
building.
Yeah.
The shot of the building, and it just closes in, and you're like, what is this building? Then all of a sudden, one of the windows goes, and these dudes
Oh,
come out.
yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
that. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty good, because I've seen it several times, and I'm always trying to guess which window
I was
it is.
waiting for that. In that same
Yeah.
one, I was thinking it was gonna do that, and it
No, it
didn't.
didn't, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Dark Knight, I remember I fell asleep through all the movies. I'm not gonna lie. But it's something that I have, that whenever I'm in an environment that the sound, even though it's like everywhere, but someone designed it and it's controlled, I get into my comfort space. So I go to sleep sometimes and I'll knock out. And of course, we're workaholics. So sometimes, like, just being in a nice chair, nice AC, climate control will knock you out. So
If Orlando ever goes to see your short film,
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that, and he falls asleep, it's not because it was bad, not because it was boring. He just gets very comfortable and falls asleep.
I'm gonna fall asleep during my own movies. I'm sorry.
true.
It's just
will.
what happens. But but I do remember when I would rewatch Dark Knight and seeing it at home and stuff. Like, I just remember how pretty everything was, and how Christian Bale just as an actor is insane. Like, he just he kind of for me personifying Bruce Wayne. Spoiler if you don't know. That he was come on, that's an old
Yeah,
one.
if you don't
You don't know that one. Like, damn, what's Batman? Yeah, freaking Bruce Wayne. Like, growing up watching the animated series,
Uh-huh.
it was like I remember him looking like a very particular way, talking. You hear that voice, and Christian Bale kind of did that for me. Like, during that whole series, we're waiting for the next one to come out and the one after. So, like, that was for me probably like the best Batman that we would have ever gotten, and this version I think is really good. I like, don't get me wrong, it's dope, but I think they did the Mark Wahlberg effect where they didn't give this dude many lines. Like,
Yeah.
he maybe has 3 pages of dialogue, maybe three or 4 pages of dialogue in the whole movie, probably more.
I think despite
Yeah.
he has voiceovers, but then
Yeah,
the actual spoken lines of dialogue isn't as much.
yeah, he doesn't speak much. Or I guess the other one is Rambo, right? Like the Rambo thing where Rambo, like, they cut out all his lines just so that you give him a different feeling, and don't, a lot of people personify that dude. What's this guy's name?
Arnold?
No.
Sorry, Arnold.
No.
Sylvester Stallone? We talking about?
Sylvester Stallone, but no, the
Rambo.
one for Batman.
Oh yeah, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, a lot of them, he's like, they know him as the dude from the other vampire movie,
Yeah, Edward Cullen.
Edward, yeah. So he's been trying to break out of that, and I think he was very well accepted for this role. Like, once they saw what he did,
Which is funny because what's the name? I remember like a while ago we were watching the trailer for this one film, and I watched it. Now I thought it was a good film, but the look of it we thought was really good, and it was this Australian film called The Rover.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and when we saw it, it had Guy Guy Pearce, I believe it was the lead, but Robert Pattinson was in it. And he played he wasn't mentally challenged. I just think he was a guy with very low IQ that got caught up, a criminal, like a petty criminal.
Yeah.
But he was really good playing that role. And I'm like, that's not homeboy from Twilight. That's not Edward Cullen.
Yeah.
And it just changed my whole perspective on him. And I was like, okay, he can do other things. And then when they picked him for this, that's why I was kind of like,
I didn't
See
even
what
know
he
that. That's the guy from Twilight.
yeah.
yeah, homeboy
Oh,
from
dang.
Twilight.
Yeah,
Sparky
he did
boy.
good because
Yeah.
usually people can't break out of roles.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Not like that. Not something that was so iconic in terms of
Yeah.
that fandom. You know, it's kind of hard. Like, you know, you couldn't imagine the Harry Potter dude in that role. Or
But,
Yeah,
no.
but he
Yeah.
is like exact way he's doing the exact same thing. He's taking on these
Yeah.
weird roles
Yeah.
just so he won't be Harry Potter.
anymore.
Yeah.
You can't un-Harry Potter though.
It's hard.
It's-
It's really hard.
It's too strong of a thing.
So I mean, overall, like I think the movie is good. So like, let's talk about the look because
right.
Greg Fraser is the DP, right? And
Australian guy that's become the DP lately.
did
Mhm.
Mandalorian, did
Mandalorian.
Rogue, what was it? Rogue
One,
One,
I believe.
Yeah, he
He
did.
did?
I think he did Rogue One.
What did he do?
I don't know if we're wrong. Tell us in the comments. But the dude also he did
What did he do?
Mad Max.
He did
Okay.
Mad
He
Max.
did the latest Mad Max,
Dang,
which
so nothing is dark.
no, and it's all like on screens, and it's like shooting day for night. I mean, you know, doing a bunch of really cool stuff. But man, like just watching that trailer,
In
like,
there, it was day for nights in
so
Batman.
there's day for nights in there.
I didn't catch those.
But also, there was a lot of rendered shots, which were when they're not on the roof this time because it's weird. What's crazy is that the bat light is no longer on the roof. Now it's on like one of the floors of a building that's being built, like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're shooting the thing's supposed to shoot out, so which is good because that's the way they save a lot of budget. Is they just build that floor set on that same stage, same technology they shot Mandalorian on, and they just render that whole Gotham skyline,
Yeah.
and they do it every single time at beautiful golden hour. They're like, if we set it we can shoot that all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked pretty good. It was convincing. I mean, for me, watching it, even Mandalorian once, I think the glory of what it was without knowing what kind of stage they're using was better. But once they released like how they did the cyclorama or the cycled LEDs and it being lifted, then I could kind of feel like there's some. We're talking about this. There's some kind of refresh rate or something that's there that you can kind of tell that it is, but then sometimes you're surprised because you think they're using it and they're not, you know?
Yeah.
But it's hard to shoot that way. But Greg Fraser is one of the pioneers on that stuff for sure.
Dune. He also did Dune.
Oh,
That's
Dune.
what he did. Dune.
And Dune was a beautiful
Yeah.
movie too.
I haven't
Have you
seen
seen
that
that
one.
one? Man,
For
check it
being a
out.
sci-fi movie, a lot of sci-fi movies don't take that aesthetic, which is crazy because you get sci-fi movies that are super, super colorful. This one was very dreary, very bland. Having said that, like we go back to Batman. Batman, we were talking about, I was saying earlier, I feel like they painted with a lot of dark and just complemented with the lights. There's things they do here that Greg Fraser does that people are like, man, how does he get some of that? But you know what's crazy is that we overthink things in smaller sets. For
Mhm.
example, there's a scene where John Turturro's character, who's Carmine Falcone,
Mhm.
he's looking out into the window. There's a whole bunch of glare on his glasses. He turns back and he's lying and he comes back, whole bunch of glare. But they didn't like be like, oh man, let's get rid of that glare. We need to
Yeah.
get rid of that glare. No, they played with that glare and they made it work because that's natural. That's truth. And when you play with natural and you play with truth, it comes across much more convincing. I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. And it looked, I mean, almost every frame that I saw, even if you know, just recap the trailer, like it looked like a painting, you know?
Yeah.
And there's one beautiful scene that like where I know for sure they had to do day for night and reverse it was where there's a scene where they're inside the stadium and there's water everywhere and there's no lights. You know, it's like dark. It's not as dark as that fight scene, the final fight scene that they did in Game of Thrones where no one
Yeah.
could see anything. Like you can clearly make out depth and stuff there, and then he like pops that flare, and then he holds it up, and then you just see all this cool, like you're saying,
The people following
yeah,
him out.
following him and all that. But that one shot was like so convincing to me. Like if you want to know how to add depth and layers with just in darkness, like that's how they do it. And
Gotcha.
it was just, man, it was such a cool shot. I'm also glad that I was awake for that part.
Yeah. mean, I agree. It was beautiful. It's really a beautiful shot. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't walk away like, God dang, that was amazing. And I'm wondering if it was the story, if it was missing
Well,
something.
let me ask you this: would you watch it again, the full 3 hours?
3 hours long, bro.
Yeah. How about you?
I probably would in pieces though.
Yeah.
I'll
I'd
watch
catch
it,
it like 10 minutes or redo a scene here and there and like let me check this out to analyze it and stuff.
And that's what I was saying. Like, okay, so if it would have been episodic HBO, right? You would have been hooked for maybe a couple
yeah.
weeks. You're talking about just the first scene, him coming out. You know, I think the first scene of the Riddler, and then all that happening all the way to like showing like Batman or Bruce Wayne like becoming whatever he was. Like that all could have been one episode, And then like I think of like the Penguin, the whole Penguin kind of
the chase scene
and all that. Like all that could have been another episode, just dealing with the Penguin by himself,
Yeah.
And like every week you're like introducing like, hey, this is Penguin and this is Falcone and this is who else did they have?
Had
The one scene with just
just the Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And then-
did like the Catwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Zoe
then
Kravitz.
then Commissioner, Commissioner
Commissioner
Gordon,
Gordon.
another episode of just them two where Commissioner Gordon's leading the charge.
Yeah.
Like, man, there's so
Now you
many.
got Gotham.
Yeah, and you have Gotham, but done in a
beautiful way.
I mean, which was so dope about like Mandalorian that
Oh,
people
yeah.
couldn't wait.
They were
you know,
releasing it.
Yeah, they couldn't wait to get to that.
It's let me tell you what, on a scale of filmmaking, that thing is definitely a 10 out of 10. And I'll say that
Yeah.
because it was a great written script, great great acting across the board, great shooting, great lighting, all that stuff. The only thing, and it doesn't really bother me that much, is the pacing. But I think it was intentional because it is a detective story
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
anything.
I think that might have been it, the pacing that drags me.
Right. Like me, I think freaking what is it called? 7. I think that movie is iconic, it's great. Do I go out of my way to rewatch it again? No, because it's slow.
Yeah.
It has its moments, but I would rewatch it. Yeah.
I watched
Certain
it
scenes,
before.
certain things.
Yeah.
But that's what it felt like. It's a detective story more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of people are saying, is this better than The Dark Knight?
Man, they're different.
I think that's a better way to look at it, right?
Yeah, they're just different.
Because I don't know why people want to always do verses, like this versus that. Like, bro, they're different eras, different times.
You gotta compete, though,
Yeah,
man.
you do.
So
gotta-
right now
yeah.
on the table, left or right, Dark Knight or the Batman? What are you picking?
I'll tell you what. It's. I think was a more true story was the Batman, because if you look at the Dark Knight, they do skip a lot of things for storytelling. They'll make leaps be like to just connect this to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, like for example, in the opening robbery scene, when the bus comes out and joins the bus line, nobody's gonna call out that one bus that just came crashing out of the bank.
Yeah, true.
Nobody. So stuff like that,
for
right?
me and the Batman, I'm like his voice. None of y'all put together that this is him now.
Yeah.
The Riddler did.
You give
Riddler
me like
Yeah.
it's. I think it's always that
Yeah.
with the Batman for
Of
me.
course.
It's always at some point I'm like, okay, y'all should know now. Like it's him.
Yeah, and like he was so careless, like in the Batman, like I was talking about this earlier too, where he misses like all his jumps,
All his
his landings or whatever. Like I think we even see his very first time that he uses his grapple hook when he jumps off the thing, which was cool. It was cool to see that, to see like a Batman fail, which was kind of fail and fall and get hurt. Where he's so strategic. Like every show and things that we have seen him, like he's always like, yeah, he disappears at the right time. He does like the smartest things because he's technically the Tony Stark of the DC world, right? He's like a genius.
Even that at the beginning,
Yeah.
you notice he didn't walk away like as well.
Yeah.
But through the movie it got better. He started
mean-
disappearing.
I mean, bro, like the homie goes to a club and he knocks on the door to go in.
yeah.
I mean, bro, like who does like
I mean, he just learning.
I
Yeah,
know,
it's the
but-
second year. It's the second year.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
So that's the thing. They should explain that more because I don't read comic books, so I didn't
Yeah.
know
Well,
anything about the second year.
The only thing they showed about that, if you pay attention, which sometimes people don't pay attention,
I didn't pay
and it should be much clearer, was when he just had a little notebook that said Gotham Project Year 2. That is the
Gotcha.
Gotham Project Year 2.
Yeah.
And so he had been documenting like stuff that he's doing.
But did you know about that before this, or you caught that in? The
I
movie?
heard about that, but then I
See,
caught that.
heard about it and I still didn't catch it.
Oh,
So
see? Okay.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's for me. Like you got to kind of bridge that gap for us who don't read comic books.
If I was like comparing like the look of both of them, I think I would definitely go with the new one because to me it was just amazing. It just looked. I mean, it was just I remember. I think the other one was shot with IMAX and stuff too, and it was Wally Pfister, and Wally
Yeah, that's
Pfister's
what I'm saying,
amazing.
which is crazy. Wally Pfister's great.
Yeah, but I don't know, for something is like using the technology that we're currently at and the way that was defined. I mean, this was done beautifully after something as beautiful as Dark Knight, So I would have to give it to Batman for looks. For story and like what I'm used to, I would say Dark Knight for sure.
Dark Knight definitely had a good story. Had you thinking as well afterwards because it's a play on games, right? It's a play. The whole guy Joker's whole thing was like, would you do it? Like, would you press the button?
Well-
Kind of like that. Can he convince? Can you turn someone that way?
Yeah.
Like that?
I mean, and this one did have a whole LA Confidential detective vibe, right? So it was more like closed in. It felt like almost like Sin City. Sin City felt like
Yeah,
it was all on a stage. Like it was very, very locked and tight. That's what this film looked like. And Dark Knight, bro, like they literally had a
open up worlds,
stadium.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like stadiums of,
Yeah, it's
of
very
extras.
different.
Freaking, they had a cloud that they put over all like 2 city blocks. You know what I'm saying? They
different budget.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? My favorite Batman fight scene ever is from Batman vs Superman.
For real.
Where Batman goes into the warehouse and just rocks all these dudes.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like whooping all these dudes, like bing, they're shooting them.
Yeah.
One dude like stabs him in the shoulder, and he like takes it out, throws it back, and he's like,
That's
"That
sick.
Batman was
I
like."
gotta watch that scene.
Yeah.
Just watch that fight scene. I think that was like my favorite Batman fight scene. Having said that, the overall movies, Batman and Dark Knight are above both of them, definitely.
So Dark Knight, you're saying, yeah.
Huh?
And you, of course, Dark Knight. I
I'll do
know.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Well,
I like this one because it feels more like a comic book.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's one thing. That the other Batman, like that's me. I like stuff that feel like the real world.
Right.
Dark Knight feels like it can happen now.
Yeah.
The Batman feels like a comic book, which it should, because that's what it's going off of.
Yeah, and you also have to understand, like, it's a different world now compared to what it was when Dark Knight came out 2 years ago. People, we were locked in our houses for a while, and so perspectives do change in many, many ways. So, but ultimately, the film was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'll probably watch it in pieces. If it was episodic, it'd be even better. But I understand, like, no one's gonna give that kind of massive budget for episodic stuff.
I wish they would have released it for us to watch it at home, though. 'Cause,
Yeah, that would
like, it's just 3 hours in a
3
theater.
hours,
I'm
yeah.
going either everybody
Yeah.
gonna fall asleep.
And actually, I do watch a lot more movies. Like, I watch more movies now that I have HBO Max because I can watch them in 15-minute, 30-minute increments. Yeah, probably like through a couple. Every time I eat during lunch, I'll probably watch 15 minutes of a documentary or like a film or something.
Like thinking about being at home and like how many episodes would I binge if I could binge? Then I realized I haven't binged more than like 2 episodes of a show in a
Yeah.
long time because I just don't want to.
Yeah.
The last thing I did was The Expanse, but that one was because I was burning through the episodes.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was just like, I don't want to. I'm okay watching an episode a week. I'm okay with that.
Well, I mean, we're just gonna close this out, but man, we appreciate you guys checking it out and hanging out with us. I hope you get to watch the Batman. If you haven't yet, watch it in IMAX. I think it's definitely worth it. And I think it was shot on the Alexa Mini LF, and on a couple other cool cameras. And I think
Ari Anamorphics.
and the anamorphics. I mean, dude, it looked amazing. So take a look at that, and we expect to be doing a couple more of these coming up, but we're about to jump into a big project, and we'll be out for a little bit. So hopefully we can be dropping these while we're out there working too. So we'll be talking, subscribe, and all that stuff. Make sure to share, and also we have some merch up, so go get it. Later, guys.
Peace.